about all the profile wars, World War I, World War II, the Korean War. But I was really amazed at the wars I didn't know that we had in our 241 years. Never knew. Never was taught in school. Just didn't have a clue. And the list is long. So in war conflict, the United States, since 1775 to the present, the total U.S. deaths in war that they know, because a lot of the wars they didn't back then have a good counting of who was lost. 1,354,664. And then you add to that the wounded in those wars, 1,498,240. That's just the battlefield numbers. The numbers do not include the many effects on the peoples of the land, the atrocities that have taken place over the years. And if you look at World War II and the Holocaust, by the end of World War II, approximately 6 million people have been killed by the German Gestapo or the SS. Since the United States was founded in 1776, she has been at war during 224 out of the 241 calendar years. In other words, there were only 23 calendar years in the last 241 years in which U.S. did not wage any wars. 93% of the time, America has been at war since 1776. The only time the U.S. went 5 years without war was 1935 through 1940. That was during the isolationist period of the Great Depression. That was the longest period, 5 years without, I say war, but it's war or conflict. So I was interested, and I spent a lot of time starting to dig once I started getting these numbers. So the war has been around a long time. And it's been here way before 1776. Found that we find war in the scriptures. And when we're researching, I found the first dated war was of the Khadan culture, 13,000 to 9,000 BC. Was an ancient culture that archaeological evidence suggests originated in Upper Egypt, present-day South Egypt, approximately 15,000 years ago. There is some evidence of conflict between the groups suggesting periods of invasion or intense inter-tribal war. They found a cemetery up there that they had went into to look at this site. About 40% of the individuals buried in the Jebel Sahaba Cemetery near the border of Sudan on the Nile River show signs of fatal wounds caused by projectiles and weapons such as spears, darts, or arrows. The remains found in the cemeteries also suggest that ritual burials were also practiced. 15,000 years ago. I'm trying to put them numbers in my mind, and it's just hard to fathom. I know you do a lot of archaeology stuff, and that's a long time. A lot of people. I have a little time. Let me go into a little story about from the scriptures from Alma. The Lamanites had held the Nephites in bondage for a long time, and Moroni, I knew that the faith the Nephites had in God would protect them when they finally got fed up. Yeah, they did fight like dragons, and many of the Nephites were slain by their hands. Yea, they did smite into many of their head plates, and they did pierce many of their breastplates, and they did smite off many of their arms. And thus the Lamanites did smite in their fierce anger. Nevertheless, the Nephites were inspired by a better cause, for they were not fighting for monarchy nor power, but they were fighting for their homes and their liberties and their wives and their children and their all. Yea, for their rights of worship and their church. And they were doing that which they felt was the duty which they owed to their God. For the Lord has said unto them, and also unto their fathers, that insomuch as ye are not guilty of the first offense, neither the second, ye shall not suffer yourselves to be slain by the hands of your enemies. And again the Lord has said that ye shall defend your families, even unto bloodshed. Therefore for this cause were the Nephites contending with the Lamanites, to defend themselves and their families and their lands, their countries, their rights, and their religion. And it came to pass that when the men of Moroni saw the fierceness and the anger of the Lamanites, they were about to shrink and flee from them. And Moroni perceived their intent, sent forth, and inspired their hearts with these thoughts. Yea, the thoughts of their lands, their liberty, yea, their freedom from bondage. And it came to pass that they turned upon the Lamanites, and they cried with one voice unto the Lord, their God, for their liberty and their freedom from bondage. And they began to stand against the Lamanites with power. And in the selfsame hour that they cried unto the Lord for their freedom, the Lamanites began to flee before them. And they fled even to the waters of Sidon. Now the Lamanites were more numerous, yea, by more than double when the number of the Nephites. Nevertheless, they were driven insomuch that they were gathered together in one body in the valley upon the bank by the river Sidon. Therefore the armies of Moroni encircled them about, yea, even on both sides of the river. For behold, on the east were the men of Lehi. Therefore when Zerahemnah saw the men of Lehi on the east of the river Sidon, and the armies of Moroni on the west of the river, that they were encircled about by the Nephites, they were struck with terror. Now Moroni, when he saw their terror, commanded his men that they should stop shedding their blood. And it came to pass that they did stop, and withdrew a pace from them. And Moroni said unto Zerahemnah, Behold, Zerahemnah, that we do not desire to be men of blood. No. You know that you are in our hands, yet you do not desire to slay you. Behold, we have not come out to battle against you, that we might shed your blood for power. Neither do we desire to bring anyone to the yoke of bondage. But this is the very cause for which ye have come against us. Yea, and ye are angry with us because of our religion. But now you behold that the Lord is with us, and you beheld that he has delivered you into his hands, into our hands. And now I would that you should understand that this is done unto us because of our religion and our faith in Christ. And now you see that you cannot destroy this our faith. Now you see that this is the true faith of God. Yea, you see that God will support and keep and preserve us so long as we are faithful unto him. And unto our faith and our religion, and never will the Lord suffer that we should be destroyed, except we should fall into transgression and deny our faith. And now, Zerahemnah, I command you, in the name of that all-powerful God, who has strengthened our arms, that we have gained power over you by our faith, by our religion, and by our rights of worship, and by our church, and by the sacred support which we owe to our wives and our children, by by that liberty which binds us to our lands and our country, yea, and also by the making of the sacred word of God, to which we owe all our happiness, and by all that is most dear unto us, yea, and this is not all. I command you by all the desires which you have for life, that you deliver up your weapons of war unto us, and we seek not your blood, but we will spare your lives, if you will go your way, and come not again to war against us. And now if you do not do this, behold, you are in the hands. You are in our hands, and I will command my brethren that they should fall upon you, and inflict the wounds of death in your bodies, that ye may become extinct. And then we will see who shall have power over this people. Yea, we will see who will be brought into bondage. And now it came to pass that Zerahemnah had heard these sayings. He came forth and delivered up his sword and his scimitar, and his bow into the hands of Moroni, and said unto him, Behold, here are our weapons of war. We will deliver them unto you, and we will not suffer ourselves to take an oath unto you, which we know that we shall break, and also our children. But take our weapons of war, and suffer that we may depart into the wilderness. Otherwise we will retain our swords, and we will perish or conquer. Behold, we are not of your faith. We do not believe that it is God that has delivered us into your hands, but we believe that it is your cunning that has preserved you from our sword. Behold, it is your breastplates and your shields that preserve you. What do? We put on the armor of God. And now when Zerahemnah had made an end of speaking these words, Moroni returned the sword and the weapons of war which he had received unto Zerahemnah, saying, Behold, we will end the conflict. Now I cannot retain the words which I have spoken. Therefore, as the Lord liveth, ye shall not depart, except you depart with an oath, that you will not return against us to war. Now as ye are in our hands, we will spill your blood upon the ground, or you shall submit to the conditions which I have promised. And now when Moroni had said these words, Zerahemnah retained his sword, and he was angry with Moroni, and he rushed forward that he might slay Moroni. But as he raised his sword, behold, one of Moroni's soldiers smote it even to the earth, and it broke by the hip. And he also smote Zerahemnah, and he took off his scalp, and it fell to the earth. And Zerahemnah withdrew from before them into the midst of his soldiers. And it came to pass that the soldiers who stood by, who smote off the scalp of Zerahemnah, took up the scalp from off the ground by the hair, laid it upon the point of the sword, and he stretched it forth unto them, saying unto them with a loud voice, Even as this scalp has fallen to the earth, which is the scalp of your chief, so shall ye fall to the earth, except you will deliver up your weapons of war, and depart with a covenant of peace. Now there were many, when they heard these words, and saw the scalp which was upon the sword, that were struck with fear. And many come forth, and threw down their weapons of war at the feet of Moroni, and entered into a covenant of peace. And as many entered into a covenant, they suffered to depart into the wilderness. Now it came to pass that Zerahemnah was exceeding wroth, and he did stir up the remainder of his soldiers to anger, to contend more powerfully against the Nephites. And now Moroni was angry because of the stubbornness of the Lamanites. Therefore he commanded his people that they should fall upon them and slay them. And it came to pass that they began to slay them. Yea, and the Lamanites did contend with their swords and their mights. But behold, their naked skins and their bare heads were exposed to the sharp swords of the Nephites. Yea, behold, they were pierced and smitten. Yea, and they did fall exceeding fast before the swords of the Nephites, and they began to be swept down, even as the soldiers of Moroni had promised. Now Zarahemla, when he saw that they were all about to be destroyed, cried mightily unto Moroni, promising that he would covenant and all his people with him, if they would spare the remainder of their lives, that they never come to war against them. And it came to pass that Moroni caused that the work of the dead should cease again among the people. And he took the weapons of war from the Lamanites, and after they had entered into a covenant with him of peace, they were suffered to depart into the wilderness. Now the number of dead were not numbered because of the greatness of the number. Yea, the number of the dead were exceedingly great, both on the Nephites and the Lamanites. And it came to pass that they did cast their dead into the waters of Sidon, and they had gone forth and are buried in the depths of the sea. And the armies of Nephites or of Moroni returned, and came to their houses and their lands. And thus ended the 18th year of reign of the judges over the people of Nephi. And thus ended the record of all which was written upon the plates of Nephi. I looked at the numbers of the wars and tried to justify those with peace. And you look at most of the wars that we, the United States, have been in, it's mostly been to help, to help peoples around the world that are in bondage. And we continue to do that to this day. We have to do it for our freedoms. As you see in that story, you have no choice sometimes. We can't be overrun or taken bondage by others, because that's not why we're here. So I hope that we just take a little knowledge from today's service. We pray, we think about these things. We've got the dealings going on right now with North Korea that are pretty substantial concerns. And we should be taking those to prayer so that we are given what we need to know for that when the time comes for that, for dealing with that situation. So thank you. God bless America. God bless each one of us as we carry on.
Thank you, Don. Appreciate that. We can now turn your hymnals, please, to hymn number 100. 100. Would rise, please. This God is the God we adore, our faithful, unchangeable friend, whose largeness is power, and knows not beginning nor end. Is Jesus the first and the last, whose Spirit will guide us safe home? We'll praise Him for all that is past, and trust Him for all that's to come. Our Father in heaven, once again, we are grateful to Thee for the time we've been able to spend here. We're grateful, Father, to our brother for the message that he's presented to us. We thank you, Lord, for our protection and our strength, and ask that you would continue to be with us, Father. Help us as we strive to become a righteous people. Bless us, Father, that we might fulfill Thy purpose in Thy creation. Bless us always, Father, that we may praise Thy holy name and give Thee the blessing and the credit and the honor due Thee. And ask for your help in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.